He said everybody in this room doesn't equal $20 an hour.
It's hard to break a habit. If someone, I'll give you an example, and you know it really well. When I was in Shanghai on a roofing expo, I've never seen anything like that in the United States. You mentioned that you met Diane Hendricks. How did that go?
Oh, well, that was interesting.
The roofers used to carry way more about warranty with the manufacturer than now.
They're going to remember Bill's Roofing, who put on the roof 3 years ago, and it's already failed, and they're going to be on Facebook talking about how terrible he is when he had nothing to do with it.
Why people can buy from Home Depot and Lowe's, but cannot buy from people who sell to Home Depot and Lowe's?
Oh, definitely. You have to try something new. Americans are stubborn. We hate change.
Very first podcast of 2025, Kyle Van Boxel. Man, I could not think of a better guest in the studio. I was in your office. Thank you so much for flying into Minnesota.
Oh, I appreciate the offer. I'm excited to be here. Actually, my first time in Minnesota today, so
really?
A little bit of an experience.
Is it colder here than Cleveland, Ohio?
Surprisingly, we have a lot more snow at home, and it's much colder at home. So it's hoodie weather out here, about taking it off of the airport. Feels like summertime.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of snow. I'm actually missing the snow really bad. So thank you so much for making it. And honestly, Trump is coming to the office in 2 weeks. The best time to be in business, in my opinion. But also in our business, it's very, very tricky. Tariffs are coming up, so I want to open with that. So actually, this is my office. This is my map. I look at it all the time. So you are in underlayment business. We have India, we have China, we have Canada. Trump is saying he's going to put tariffs on all of those countries. If you want to trade with us, 10 to 20%. I have an article here. As a candidate, Trump called for universal tariffs as high as 10 or 20% on everything imported into the United States. Many economists warned that such plans could cause price shocks, and many Republicans in Congress might have criticized them. What do you think about Trump's story, him winning? What's going to happen to the roofing industry?
Every 4 years, there's a cycle in the United States. Everybody's afraid to buy the year of an election, regardless who's getting in, regardless of what's happening, which had happened the last year here. Now that Trump's in, I see a lot of it kind of settling down, but the tariffs are going to come regardless. But on the plus side, they're coming to companies that have shift production offshores, going to China, India, a lot going on in Vietnam, Canada. Canada basically a little bit different than the other ones to me, but the prices are going to go up in a lot of products, but it's going to be these companies that sent the manufacturing overseas. In the 60s and 70s, we didn't have that. Manufacturing was in the United States. So the companies that are going to be hurt are those that are outsourcing from overseas. Unfortunately, try to find a product that doesn't come from China, India, anywhere over there, Bangladesh.
Why United States is so dependent on the products? You mentioned, I was in Shanghai last year. You go to India, you go to China, you've seen the factories. Why it cannot be produced here? How can you explain to average viewer who have no idea, everybody's so proud of buying American. Why something like roofing underlayment is hard to make here?
Roof and underlayment is extremely hard to make. Reason why is the labor that goes into it. It's not so much hard as it is costly to make. The machines that go involved, you can have 20 to 30 people working machines, getting production going, getting everything situated on it. And you go to the United States, minimum you're going to pay somebody's $20 an hour to do that. The first factory I went to in India is now the factory that we got into. I was speaking to the owner. There was a room full of people. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to at least convert this in the United States. That means cut it, print it, do it in the U.S. He laughed at me. He's like, what's the labor rate? I'm like, yeah, probably 20 an hour. He said everybody in this room doesn't equal $20 an hour. And that is why it's getting produced overseas.
And how many people are we talking about?
It was probably about 20 people. It was ridiculous. And that many people for the price of one American to do it. And $20 an hour is not a great wage. Ideally, people working for me, I'd like opportunities that make 25, 30, 35, 40 up in there. So that's the biggest thing is the labor and no benefits over there. It's hard to compete against regimes and countries that just don't have the same labor laws as the United States, the same environmental impact laws as the United States. To create a synthetic felt factory in the United States, a full synthetic felt factory from raw materials to finished product, you're looking at years. Approval from the EPA alone is probably 5 years. And you just don't have those restrictions overseas, unfortunately.
So you feel like it's a bureaucracy to blame?
100%. People see they can make more money over there. They get into government, lobbyists. But now with Trump, he's kind of making people pay for that. It's not like these companies are going to pay to start. The consumers are going to pay. The consumers are the one that are going to pay the tariff until these companies bring back production to the United States, if they can. So it's a kind of a gamble doing the tariffs. I think it's a necessary evil we have to kind of deal with here for the next few years.
Do you remember pre-COVID times? You're right. Nobody saw it coming, but then within a year, everything skyrocketed. And the smartest people who actually won, because I visit so many companies, were the people who have product stock. So like a lot of roofers say, cash flow is the king. I'm not going to tie my cash into the product, right? I'm not going to have a warehouse. I'm not going to buy shingles in bulk. But then when COVID happened, I remember I've been seen a contractor in Colorado, and commercial contractor, $15 million a year, big warehouse, all the commercial materials in stock. And he said, Dmitry, right now I'm selling to my competition. Nobody can get a product. There's 6-8 months lead time if you buy now, and I have it, so I'm the only one winning jobs. Remember the plywood, $70-$80 per shit, same thing. So it was like gold, trading gold. And I predict that it's going to be very similar in the roofing industry, not only with the tariffs, but with the price increases, with the shortages, with the demands. It's crazy what's happening. And how, and actually, let's talk about this. Do you see that the roofers are getting smarter? Because 2-3 years ago, you could not convince roofers to save on something like underlayment or nails. I was buying in bulk in Storm Group Roofing back in 2018. I remember I bought 6 pallets of nails for like $15 a box. And I built like a little fort at my warehouse. My employees were laughing at me. I was just creating content, building Lego out of nails. And 3 months later, I bought it from Menards. 3 months later, Menards offered to buy back from us couple pallets because price of nails, something happened with the metal cost. They were selling it at 30. They were willing to pay us more to buy back couple pallets from us, and we would not sell back. How crazy is that?
Oh, it's amazing. Especially nails are so volatile. Nails are the one thing in the roofing industry that's like a commodity.
Yeah.
It goes on steel and iron prices, shipping prices. There's a lot to it. When you get to synthetic felt, even like ice and water shield, those prices are fairly stable. Nails, they're all over the place. Right now, you could go to Florida and get nails for $20 a case. You get up to Iowa, they might be $35 a case. Pennsylvania, we had a guy the other day saying he was $49. I mean, it's all over the place. But I think in every industry,
you can buy direct, pretty much the same price from everyone.
You can. I mean, it's between all the guys that do direct, almost the same price. But some states, they just get great prices on nails.
But it's also true on metal roofing. I noticed that metal roofing in Utah or Colorado can be completely different than Pennsylvania or Michigan because of the metal demand and supply locally. You can find companies in Indiana, like some Amish guys, who can literally install metal roof at the same price as asphalt shingles. And then another market's 3 times the cost.
Yeah, out by us. So we're Northeast Ohio. We're actually about 50 minutes east of Cleveland. A big Amish community just south of us, a few metal manufacturers. Right now, it's $1.89 a linear foot for painted metal that's fastener attached. And it is cheaper to do that than shingles. To install it, it takes half the time. And you could get a metal roof cheaper than shingles in Northeast Ohio.
I remember when I was there, you were telling me, and I've seen more metal roofs than asphalt shingles roofs.
Oh, it's crazy. It's I think it gets manufactured there. It gets down to the supply chain. The Amish are not gouging people on it. And more, I would say, just off the top of my head, 50% of the new roofs going are metal roofs in our area.
So it's 2025. We already see markets like Cleveland where metal is more popular, metal is cheaper. What's your prediction for 2035, 10 years from now? Do you see more roofs in the United States being metal? Because right now it's still 80% plus asphalt shingles.
The thing is, I'll admit I'm not a shingle expert by any means. Personally, I like to do metal better. I've done tons of shingles too. But going to these roofing shows, seeing all this new technology out there, there are great products out there for roof. I mean, it's amazing the products out there. I can't believe we're still using asphalt shingles. I'm hoping one of these other companies will come out, one of these smaller companies will emerge in a new type of shingle, new type of roof fastener or coatings, and overtake it. I think there'll always be a market for the basic metal, the fastener applied sheet metal, which, farms, whatnot, it's easy to do. They could do it themselves. I see that market always being there. The asphalt shingles, though, I think it's time for that to change. You get to these roofing shows, like we're going to be going to IRE a couple weeks, and there's a ton of products there that are just so much better. I mean, personally, I would like to see a fade away from shingles, but I'm sure there's going to be a big market. Same, you still have people using 3-tab shingles.
Well, it's also, America is a very conservative country. What people don't understand, we are first in many, many things, but then once you become a first, Igor was explaining to me phenomenon like here, like internet, like in some other, like if you go to Moscow, you might have a better internet in Moscow than some cities in the United States. And the reason is because they just use the newest technology. So it takes more effort to switch and adapt to new when you already have old. Whereas someone new, like you build a new city today, you're going to put new plumbing, new electrical, new, like everything is newest versus try to replace the wires that's already in technology that's already exists, right? But people also, it's hard to break a habit. If someone, and I mean, I'll give you an example, and you know it really well because you're in a business, felt paper, like just regular felt. How many roofers, old school roofers, still would argue that it's better than synthetic? Because they've been doing it for 30, 40 years. It's trash, right? But Home Depot still sells it. And there's still people believe that it's better. But if you do any test, financial test, if you audit like in the jobs, like it costs more, it's more brittle, and they still do it. Why? Because they're used to it.
Exactly. That's a good point. We still sell a few truckloads a year of the old school felt. I mean, we have one guy, he loves a 15-pound felt paper. I mean, I don't know why. He absolutely loves it. But, I mean, getting back to your point,
is it a habit?
Don't want to change it. It has to be habit. And, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, you were even speaking about the new technology, why Moscow's internet could be better. That's a great point that you brought up. When I was in India, the factory I went into, top-of-the-notch factory, modern technology. I mean, it was automated where they could be. Of course, they still had a lot of manpower. Beautiful factory. You go into a production factory in the United States, it's like a 1950s GM plant. They retrofitted 14 times. And
I've been actually at the Asphalt shingle here in Minneapolis factory, and that's I believe the true reason they don't let you film there. It's not because, it's a secret. It's because it's freaking crappy. Because OSHA will shut you down. Like, you go in, like walk around here. Everything is grandfathered in from 50s, and they're not remodeling, renovating it because it's too expensive. And if they build brand new, it's probably going to be better. But try to improve 60, 70-year-old factory.
You can't. I mean, if on our Facebook page, we have videos of the factory in India. It is amazing. Even the safety protocols they put in. I mean, India is an evolving country. Last 10 years, I mean, it's amazing the infrastructure improvements they've had. 10 years ago, they may not have been very safe. But now, I mean, one of the safest spots you could be at.
India and safety and China safety don't really go together.
No, they don't. They don't. They're trying, but they're trying for the Western world. The Western world wants to see that. The Western world wants to send their COs to tour the factory, and of course, it's clean, it's pretty. That's why they have 8 cleaning crews making sure it's spotless, which cleaning equates to safety as well.
When I was in Shanghai on a roofing expo, I've seen, and I've been in solar factories. I've been in the regular factories with a solar installed on top of it. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in the United States. I mean, that solar actually works. You go in, there's a huge panel, show you the savings, and you can hear the electricity go in because it's so hot. And even solar technology is so ahead of us. Like, because it's actually working. Here's the theory. Here's like, it might work. You might save money in 20, 30 years. Right there, you come in, like, here's how much we're saving right now. We're actually operating today on this energy. Otherwise, it would cost us this much. And you're like, that's what solar should be. Let's switch gears a little bit. So roofers don't like to change, but everybody likes to save money. A couple years ago, people would not buy direct. They would not buy in bulk. Now more than ever. And one of the biggest objections would be warranty. And what I've noticed, and I just want you to confirm it or deny it, that roofers used to carry way more about warranty with the manufacturer than now. Now, like, at least the feedback I'm getting from roofers, they're like, I'm done with paying the stupid warranty tax, they call it. I'm doing what's better for me. Do you see that trend?
I definitely see it, but that's also hand in hand in the manufacturers not caring about the warranty. They have to take care of it on their end for the roofers. Once they quit doing that, what roofer's going to care about it? We have some major clients that are backing away completely from the warranty, and they're giving their own warranty on the roof. They're not paying the platinum fee or whatever the tax they have and just covering it on their own. I mean, so very few roofs come back on warranty. I mean, why they haven't done that to start?
Sure. Well, because they sell a bigger name. But now, like, I feel like shingle manufacturers get you twice. One, when they demand to buy their underlayments, their accessories, and two, when you still have to register, and then they'll get you third time when, shingles blister or crack, and they say, well, you have 4 nails instead of 6. We're not going to cover it. So it's kind of still on a roofer for not installing it properly, which I never could understand. What does it have to do with installation when it's pure? Like, if your shingle is bleeding oil and you're gonna blame it on me because I did something wrong, what's wrong with you? Like, it's just not a fair game.
No, that's all the fine print in the warranty. That's how they make their money. I mean, in a business aspect, yeah, they're doing great business for them to make money off of it. But for the roofer, the end user, anybody else, they're getting screwed. They have the inspectors go out, and their whole job is to find a reason not to file a claim, not to get a claim on there. Like you said, 4 nails in the middle of a roof, that should not be an issue. But they see it, they're going to fail the whole roof. They see a nail in too deep and not in enough, whole roof's failed. It's not getting warranted.
I talk to a lot of smaller guys. So you're in different categories. So you import from overseas directly to them. So you figure out logistics, warehousing, all of that. I see a lot of guys who are trying to get in the supply business, like buy shingles, seconds. I know guys who are buying from Home Depot in bulk and then retail, right? How do you call them? Like, there's A and the B players.
They have, you mean different grades of shingles?
No, different grades of suppliers.
Suppliers, yeah. There's a lot of them around. There's some really good ones. CGR in Pennsylvania, I'm sure you've probably seen them around.
It's so hard to get into that business. Why is it so hard? I've heard in Dallas, in Texas, someone wanted to start a supply house with it. They had $300 million fund, and they could not pull it off because nobody would sell it to them. Mm-hmm. You go like, do we truly have monopoly that protects itself? Because it's hard to open a supply house. You can open a roofing company, you can open a manufacturer company, but you cannot open a supply house that easy. Like, you're not going to have a product to sell unless you have some crazy deal with someone.
You're definitely right about that. I know a few of them, they have to actually go to Lowe's, buy truckloads from Lowe's. They can't go direct to the manufacturer and do it. It's a lot of red tape to get through, but yeah, definitely they're blocking.
It's so weird. But explain that to me, because I just don't understand why people can buy from Home Depot and Lowe's, but cannot buy from people who sell to Home Depot and Lowe's. Because Home Depot, Lowe's, are they losing money in that transaction? Because that's what I've heard. That's like word on the street, that Home Depot is losing because ABC Supply will deliver it to Home Depot, but you cannot buy that price at ABC. But Home Depot buys it at ABC, sells to you, losing money. Like, how does it work?
It's a corporate game. Nobody's losing money. Maybe they're losing money on their wannabe 30% profit on it, selling it to another company in which they own. At the end of the day, they have record profits. They are not losing money on it at all. The margins on shingles, it is low. I mean, even the big guys, they're not making a ton of money on shingles. They get you on the accessories. They get you on everything else. That's another reason why a lot of people can't break into it. The margins just are not there. If you're not buying at those rates, Home Depot, Lowe's, ABC Beacon.
I asked ChatGPT, what's the profit margin on making shingles? And it told me 30%, 20 to 30%.
I've had a few conversations with a couple of the higher ups, though, that I do trust. And it was far less than that on what they were. But, I mean, very well could be wrong. I can't see a true 30 on it unless industry standard on most roofing products is going to be, 30, 40 on accessories. But very well could be wrong on that. Like I said, I'm not a shingle expert. I've looked into it. We've looked into, going as far as producing in the United States, starting factory United States. So we have market research on that end, but there's a lot that goes into it.
100%. I talked to CEO, founder of them. Can't mention the name to protect it, but it was a private Zoom call, 1 hour Zoom call, very outspoken CEO. And he explained to me the market. He's like, Dmitry, I like you with the roofing insights, what you do. Here's the spiel. He said, in the roofing business, suppliers are the one who makes money. We don't make money. And he was like the son of the founder. He's like, we've been in business for like 40 years. And I'm telling you right now, people who make money, like they corner us. They dictate what we should do. We don't have leverage. We have to produce, do this, and this, deliver. And at the end of the day, they make more profit than we do. And I'm like, damn, like you could feel the pain. You could feel, because but what I don't understand, why manufacturing, my question to you is, why do you think manufacturers cannot sell directly to a roofer like they used to 40 years ago? Why do we need a middleman like ABC Supply?
That is because the ABC supplies are out there. The beacons, they're out there. If, for example, Oaks Corning starts selling to me as a roofer direct, ABC is going to quit buying from them. They use that on everybody. So they won't go and you can't buy direct. They'll get blackballed in the industry by all the big distributors. It happens all over.
I see that. Like, I've been in so many companies, like, and people will tell me, like, I've said with the owners, and they're like, I buy OC, truckloads. I'm like, really? They sell it to you? He's like, it comes in an ABC truck. I have to make arrangements. So technically speaking, they buy directly from OC truckloads, but and they have a truck in their warehouse, like delivery truck. And it's like, I cannot use my truck. I have to go through ABC. ABC will go and deliver it to me, and then I can deliver it because they have their own trucks.
Yeah.
Semi-trucks, flatbeds, and then I can deliver to my jobs, but I cannot go to OC to pick it up, and it's like 30 minutes for me. I have to use ABC.
Even with that ABC, say they're spending $50 million a year, it's probably far more than that. Why would they risk that contract to sell direct to somebody? They're going to make a little bit more, but they're going to deal with the somebody that wants 100 square instead of somebody that wants 10,000 square.
Do you think that equity players might change that? Because we have players now who's worth $700-800 million. When you have 25 companies in your portfolio, you're as big as some of the suppliers, like, smaller end. If you go to OC, or if you go to, Power Home Remodeling have a deal with the GF with a private label, right? Like, so they make shingles for them because they're like freaking $1 billion company. Do you see that game is changing and equity firms might get there? Because I know, like, Lance Backman was telling me that he can't, negotiate. Like, they just, even when you have buying power, he's frustrated. Like, he's not the biggest. We have a bigger players. But what's your take on equity firms and leverage in the game?
There's there's power in numbers. You get people together, you get the companies together like that. Like I said, 25, 30. We have a lot of clients that are private equity clients. I could see that helping out a lot, but it gets to that point. Private equity is still not going to be able to compete with Home Depot, Lowe's, no time soon. They will be able to buy direct a little bit as well, but I'm not seeing it overtaken by any means. Private equity has been in other sectors for a while. Look at the HVAC sector. They pretty much bought those guys out, and they still don't buy direct in there as much. I have found it's very hard to sell private equity. They're used to looking at the numbers over the last 10 years. They've spent X amount on it, and if it's working, they seem very hesitant to change. We've got a few of them, not a lot, and they're saving a ton of money. Yeah. It's hard to say over the next 10 years where it's going to be. I'm sure it'll have a little more influence than now, but definitely a little bit hard to say.
Interesting. What's your take on, how do you call them? The groups that, buying groups.
The buying groups out to help roofers.
Yeah. Do we have a true buying groups?
There's a couple out there. We're a member of one group that... we're a sponsor of it. We help out. We give the members a little bit more of a discount. We already don't sell big markups, so it's not a huge discount. But there's some groups out there that are just money grabs. They're just out to get your money. They don't do anything for you. They'll let a smaller guy in. He gives discounts. The bigger company doesn't do anything. They just market, get in for free because they want the name there. Off the top of my head, I could probably name 5 or 6 buying groups out there. Of those, there's one that really, I think, is for the roofer, the end users, the guys installing. Every other one, you really have to do your due diligence about it. We get approached probably once a week from some new group trying to start up. And
I see that trend, and people trying, like, everybody with the audience, everybody, with any kind of list of contractors. I mean, like, even for me, like directory, like we have 500 roofers, and I can easily start buying group tomorrow, claiming I have some kind of buying power. But do I really? Like, it is a money grab, in my opinion, because you don't, unless you have a special relationship with someone has to back up your offer, and you have to bring something to the table. It's a hard pitch to join the buying group for me.
It definitely is. My thing is everybody has an end game in this business, it seems like. Every buying group I'm talking to, everybody's building it up to sell it in 3 or 4 years, sell it to one of the big guys. I mean, everybody has an end game to sell, except me. I guess I'm one of the stupid ones out there, but that's what really throws me off on it. I don't want to invest in somebody that won't first invest in us. Get out there, invest in a roofer. I mean, by trade, I was an iron worker for 15 years, did roofing on the side. I mean, physical labor. You know what it is to be out there. You did it for how many years? And you have, some corporate guy just has a following, wants to go out, start a buying group so he can make money. It's not cheap to be part of these buying groups. The one we're part of, without name dropping, I mean, it's a lot of money. We could go to a lot of shows and, what we spend to be part of it. But it's more or less advertising. Get your name out there is what we kind of look at. Legitimizes the company a little bit by it. But, there's some companies in there that are great. Some companies that have no right to be in a buying group.
I agree. You mentioned that you met Diane Hendricks. How did that go?
Oh, well, that was interesting. So we were actually at a convention. It was one of my newest salesmen and I. We were out. It was a very nice little convention venue. I didn't know who everybody was. We were bowling. She was in the lane next to us, hanging out. I'm talking to her. Didn't even know who she was.
Really?
No idea. Saw some bodyguards went off to the back, and
she has bodyguards.
There's I'm pretty sure some giant guy standing by the back area. But yet again, I mean,
we would think that she would have. Like, I would expect it.
Yeah, I mean, great person hanging out with over there. After we're walking away, somebody came up like, "Hey, you know who that is?" And of course, afterwards we did. We ran into her again that night. Told her like who I was. She's like, "Oh yeah, I heard the name," which I was very surprised. It was kind of an honor that she heard the name. Some little guy out of Ohio. Kind of talked about what we were doing. She had some of her higher ups with her as well, and they kind of laughed at what we were doing right now. And
like they inferred seriously?
No, inferred they
have heard of you.
Yeah, they did, which I'm very surprised they have. But the one was kind of inferring that they had a way to stop us when they need to. Right now, we're small. I mean, I guess according to them, we're small. I mean, we do a lot of products direct to roofers. We don't sell to distribution. But if she's heard from us, we got to be getting bigger. We got to be making a headache for these companies in the industry, which is good. So, I mean, I'm a business owner. I was in construction. Of course, I'm going to be a little bit arrogant and cocky. I thought that was, funny, kind of getting called out by them, and created more motivation for us. And if they have a way to stop it, us come and do it.
Oh, and I'm just curious. I want to do a little focus group. If you are in a supplier, if you work for the supplier like ABC reps, I wonder how many people from supply houses watch this channel. Comment below if you are representing a supplier. ABC, Beacon, SRS. I know we have pretty big following on LinkedIn and stuff, but I'm curious how many. And those guys like to be shy behind the scenes. They never comment. They never engage. But this is the video. I want you to say like, yep, who do you work for? If you enjoy the show, say something. Just introduce yourself. Comment below. I read all of my comments. Welcome to the show. Very interesting. But it's also scary. We know how to stop you.
It was,
what do you think she meant? How do you think ABC can stop the
lawyers, the injunctions that we're not doing anything illegally.
But they have power.
Or their whole thing, they try to buy us out, which, we're one of the few. We've had quite a few buyout offers so far, and we haven't sold for sale. What else am I going to do with my life?
What would take for you? Like, is it a money question? So what the amount you would sell it to today? Like 500 million would sell?
Yeah, I would do a lot. I guess anything's for sale for that type, But my thing is, what am I going to do after? I enjoy it. I enjoy selling. My big thing is product acquisition. I love doing that, going out, trying to find the cheapest way to get products, cheapest way to create an affordable product. And lately, my goal is, getting stuff back to the United States. I want to be the cheapest and most durable product made out of the United States. We have over half our products 100% made in the U.S. right now. And that's kind of what we're going. But yet again, I'm very like anybody. You have the right amount of money, I'll go move to the Bahamas and I guess suffer down there.
Suffer.
But we're getting to the point, we have a lot of employees right now. They all have very good benefits. And you know how it is being in a business. One week you're like, oh, we did great. This is awesome. The next week you're like, oh my God, how am I going to pay this? And it's very stressful.
Can you name some of the biggest mistakes you've made in the underlayment business? Like something that, your customer would not think that you're dealing with.
Measure rolls. Biggest mistake I had was starting off. We weren't into manufacturing. We were just kind of, buying, selling, kind of just getting into it. We sold quite a few containers of a underlayment out. We had one guy out of New York. He called me up. He's like, hey, this roll's not 250 foot. It's 238 foot. I'm like, what? I'm like, can you measure another one? He's like, yeah, this one's 237 foot, not 250. We just sold this guy 2,500 rolls of this material. He bought some previously. We went out to our yard, unrolled some of it, not 250, not a single one of them, 250.
How do you measure it? Like just a roll?
With that old, the roll tape measure?
Yeah, roll tape.
Yeah, we're doing that. And so this company came back to me, oh, we have a plus or minus 10% variation. I had to refund this guy.
25 feet.
Oh, it's ridiculous. The machines are digital. They know exactly if I want it 250 and 1/16 of an inch, they're all going to be. Oh, they were scamming everybody. This company still sells a ton. I called them out online. I've done quite a few things on it. We did a video on it before. Now they are 250 because we called them out on it. But how many containers? That's probably the reason they got as big as they did as quick. And it was plus or minus 10%. Nobody's plus or minus 10. Everything's plus or minus 5. And that usually comes down to weight. Because you're not going to get it exactly when it comes to weight. Yours 100 GSM, mine 100 GSM. They might be 96 through 108. But yeah, the length, that got me. That was the biggest, hands down, the biggest mistake. I didn't do the due diligence on that product. And don't quote me on it. I want to say I had to refund that one customer like $70,000 from this container and his previous.
It's just based on
on the length. Yeah, he bought quite a few containers off of us.
Did he get it back from manufacturer?
No. Didn't get any of it back at all. They went back to their plus or minus 10%. And I'm like, that's not how we do business. If you're buying, even better, 250 square foot of flooring, it better be 250 square foot. Home Depot's not giving you 230.
I'm going to measure our rolls. I have a roll here. I'm going to start measuring.
Good. Yeah, that's the one which, good for that contractor to measure. He's noticing over the course of, 30, 40 jobs, it's not adding up. Only 12 foot a roll, but still. So he's keeping his books tight. And by that, he saved how many people money? And he got a good check back from us. So that was, I would say,
guys,
sound biggest.
Check your rolls. But the same happening in the Asphalt shingle business. Like, OC, GF, a lot of manufacturers are not giving you 1 square, but they sell you 1 square. So I actually have guys switching brands. And they say, like, when I switch, like, I'm always short 2-3 bundles. It's just a math. Mm-hmm. It's just simple math. But numbers don't lie. It ends up being a lot. And it adds up being loss or profit. And that's why, Papa John's can save 3 cents per box, and it'll equal like $4 million in pure profit at the end of the year. And if you multiply it by what that profit means to the company, because they're a publicly traded company, it multiplies 4 more times because it's EBITDA, it's numbers, right? So roofers don't get that extra $100,000 on your EBITDA per year will be 4 or 5 times more. When you sell your business, you might get extra $500,000 because you buy in bulk, or you switch to Atlas versus wherever you're selling because it's true square versus 0.97.
It adds up. The one thing with underlayment, it's one of the only thing where you're buying 10 square rolls. Pretty much whoever you're at, they're 10 square. You get to ice and water. You're at 192. You're at 195. I don't know anybody that sells standard 2 square ice and water that's actually 2 square.
Yeah.
So underlayment's one of the only products in roofing you actually get what you buy or what you're paying for and what's advertised.
Except you get from shady company.
Yeah, shady company that cuts them short. That's, I don't know, one of those that still pisses me off. It's
It would.
how much they did it.
I would make them pay, or I would ask them to give me, like, I would either print more material and send it to the customers, like, hey, you're getting X amount of rolls, like, you know, maybe 5 more, 6 more pallets for free, whatever, like maybe a container for free, or you pay me.
And they come down on their legal obligation to it is they had that plus or minus 10% on the label of the felt. So apparently that means you can screw the customer by 10%.
They thought they're going to get away with it. And
who knows how long they did. I mean, it was probably years they got away with it. It was a...
and they sell for others too.
Oh, they sell a lot. They sell to distribution. We were buying... that's before we started producing our own. We were getting containers from them and, you know, splitting them up, kind of going from there. And that's kind of what pissed me off enough to get into the underlayment business along with our other. And, you know, that was kind of our goal, is to take their business. I mean, if you want to be as unethical as that and screw people...
Let's talk more about mistakes and surprises. You recently texted me. I appreciate it. The other day you said that you got screwed out of $100,000. Let's talk about scams that suppliers get. Like, tell me the story.
Okay, so this is a pretty in-depth scam. I mean, if these scammers had a legit job, they'd be millionaires. They probably are right now. But so we got hit for, it was just shy of $100,000. No way to get the money back on it. So we sell a lot of truckloads throughout the United States. We sell to all level buyers. We'll have a semi show up at, you know, $1 million warehouse, or somebody's house in the development getting unloaded. Neither one is uncommon for us. So we have a process too for the verification. Somebody pays with a credit card. You know, you have to have their address, the mother's maiden name, a few other things. So usually, you know, it takes a month for that to all get processed, the credit card to go, and they get a bill for it. So the way we got scammed is there's a group of immigrants up in New York and down in Georgia, and they are stealing credit card numbers.
Immigrants from where?
Hades. I have the guy's name, but unfortunately Homeland Security and FBI doesn't care. So they're going through stealing everybody's credit card information, everything down to the details of it. They're calling us up, placing an order with us. The first one was a truckload of shingles. We sent it out. That one went to, I believe, Texas. He paid people to unload it by hand. 208 squares of shingles by hand. A month later, we get a chargeback on a credit card. We call the company and like, hey, what's going on? And like, oh, no, everything's okay. This is a scammer. When I'm saying we called the company, just give it a minute. We need to place another order. Of course, we didn't let that happen. A couple days later, the company's credit card that they used called us, said, hey, what did we buy from Van Boxel? We don't do roofing like that. So here, this company stole another roofing company's credit cards and got material, got it to Texas. What they explained is they sold it on Marketplace, Craigslist, all that stuff. They'll go out and unload the material and then be done. And the chargeback on the credit card comes from the actual person that was, the credit card that was scammed. So we have to refund that money. We have, you know, no choice. Of course, you know, they shouldn't have to pay. Unfortunately, the credit cards protect the persons whose card it is, not the vendor. So that money goes out of our account and back to the rightful owner of it. We're out material. So the scammer got money. The person that card got stolen got their money out. We're screwed. So we had about 5 or 6 truckloads in 1 month of this happen, and different groups. It wasn't all the same person. So he'd have somebody call from Georgia, somebody New York, Texas. We shipped these semis out.
Organized crime.
Oh, completely. And the FBI's and Homeland Security, I mean, they acted like they were going to do a few things. What I finally got down to it is they're like, oh, this isn't, each transaction was, you know, 20 to 30,000. Like, this is under $250,000, so it's not on our high priority list. So apparently you scam 100 people for $100,000 and they don't care. They did as far as setting up a sting on these guys in Georgia. Homeland Security and the FBI were setting up a sting. We had logistics, everything go in there, all set up to go. Homeland Security didn't show up.
Really?
Yes. So after that, I mean, I kind of lost it on the director, and, you know, if they're not here to help us, I mean, the FBI, they are shorthanded. I mean, each district, they have, 15 guys, and they have how much to do? They are understaffed. But I mean, we're a smaller business, and got hit for $100,000 for these scammers. The kicker was we ended up doing research on our end. Took 5 minutes to find the head guy's name, where he lives, his phone number, his Instagram, everything. He called us on a personal number because he was an idiot one time. Every other number used burner numbers. And we linked it all back, and you could hear him talking. Same voice on the phone. And they didn't care.
Where out of?
He's out of New York, just out of New York City was the main guy. And he hit another local company out by us doing lumber as well. They shipped that to New York City, unloaded it, and same way.
So crazy. Well, if you have a story like this, I love investigations. I'll go with the cameras because I feel like media exposure is as powerful as, court. And some people are afraid of it even more than taking the court or, calling the police, because once people aware of, like, first of all, nobody likes negative media coverage because your own community will rat you out. And the more you do of, like, if someone does, like, if news does a story on you, it's very hard to keep going. Like, you will be stopped. And also news truly pushes officials, FBI and everybody else to run a story. We actually ran a couple stories in Florida. It was a roofer who was scamming people, and police would not do anything. Got to local news station. They got so much noise that police have to go investigate, lock the guy up, and because of the pressure of the media. So do not underestimate power of media. So if you have a story like that in the future, something developing, just tell me the city, the name. I mean, I'll go freaking there. I don't care.
No, most definitely. My big thing was, letting roof stores, guys in similar businesses know so they don't get hit.
I appreciate it.
It's I guess a little bit of an in-depth how much information they have to be able to get these credit cards to go through. And I mean, some of them you don't hear about in 45 days later. It's, it's a scam that's out there, and there's always going to be new scams. When they're done with this one, there'll be a new one we got to protect ourselves from.
I don't understand in this country how people can be stealing trailers, stealing materials. I mean, we have 3-4 major thefts. Like, I've been in business for 7 years, and I have a gutter trailer stolen, $10,000-$12,000. I have 2 dump trailers stolen. My vents were broken twice, $15,000, completely cleaned of materials, tools. Completely everything, every power gun, every Milwaukee drill, everything. I mean, how can you freaking do it?
I mean, there's no room in the world for thieves. The one thing I have when hiring people, I could care less how many felonies you have. I hired a guy, convicted murder. It's, you're good now. I will not hire a thief. If you're in jail for stealing one of those, that's the one thing I will not do. You and I, we work hard for what we have. Nobody's going to come and take it. It's one of those, it's more aggravating. People, it's just way of life. They're not brought up correctly.
Any other mistakes you can mention, you can share, like in this business? Because you went into, you did not know much about supplier. You kind of went by, you wanted to be in the business, but you came from different, I'm just curious, what other mistakes you've made?
The big one is, by trade as an iron worker, did roofing, and then I got hurt as an iron worker, so I started doing online classes, business management and whatnot. When I started off, I was trying to follow some of the business rules. For example, lean inventory. I'm looking, you keep a little bit on hand, order as needed. I guess for giant corporations, that might be okay. When I first started, I was running out left and right. Finally, one day it hit me. 98% of this business stuff I learned is absolute crap. Lean inventory is one of the stupidest things you can do. I started stockpiling inventory, but I lost probably, good $500,000 in sales because I didn't have enough starting. And luckily, I stockpiled right before COVID. So we were the only people with inventory when COVID hit. Once we ran out in the last, I think, 3 years, we ran out one time.
Why roofers don't like to wait? Because average wait time is 2 months. And I talk to roofers and they're like, oh, I can't put $12,000 for 2 months. And I'm like, dude, you're saving $19,000 on this order for 60 days. Put it in a freaking credit card, which should not be due at least in 30, and then 2 weeks later, it's going to show up.
Well, right now, C from China, you're looking at 52 days. C from India, I don't know how they're getting it quicker. It used to be 56 days. Then you got to get it to the U.S. freight. 56 days could turn into 90 days. We do have a fix for that, though. So we're going to be a 2-week lead time on custom felt here in a couple months.
Nice.
So USA in 2 weeks. So that is an issue, but we have a fix for it. For every issue, there's a solution, and this is something we've been working on for 2 years.
But I feel like if you buy in bulk, you should be able. But it's weird.
Yes,
when I have in stock, the same thing. You buy something in stock immediately, it's hotcakes. Yep, come get it, whatever. So let's talk about warranties a little bit. Manufacturers obviously speak a lot about warranties. Nobody knows the failure rate. Nobody ever seen recalls. We've seen class action lawsuits. We've seen we've seen product failures. We've never seen recall. Like if you sell to Walmart, if you're a car manufacturer, if you're a toy manufacturer, if you have one problem like with the seatbelt, you're going to call out entire series to check it, right? Manufacturers talk big game about warranties. Obviously, we all know that it's a game. We never see recalls. I don't know why. If you sell cars, if you sell toys, if you have one bad toy, the whole series, the whole shipment going to get recalled. The line of the cars. If you have a problem with the seatbelt, it's going to be checked. If you sell bad roof and they're like, yep, it's a bad batch. Well, they know that it's not the only one. There's probably, if it's a batch, it's a batch. But what happened to others? They know when it made. They track it so they can go and see other jobs. Why they're not doing it? Because of liability?
They lose money, and who is the one to check them on it? Who's the one to come out and make them actually go do that?
So we don't have regulations like regulations?
I don't think there's nearly as strict regulations, and they're policing themselves on it. Who's going to be go out checking each individual roof? I mean, what agency? I don't know about how you are in Minnesota. In Ohio, the building departments are very lax when it comes to roofing. You don't need to be licensed. You don't need anything. Don't need a permit in most areas. Just go put it on. That's a lot of the United States is that way. So, I mean, they could sell a bad product, faulty product. 90% of the people aren't going to notice it's bad. And why would they regulate it? I mean, they need to, but why would they say, hey, my product's bad?
What do you think is believable a roofing warranty? Like if you would buy a roof today from a roofer, what would you be paying? Well, first of all, what roof would you install?
I'm kind of a big fan of metal roofs personally. I would definitely do metal.
Any specific, like standing seam, any specific brand?
Not so much subjected to it. Stand-in seam does look better in my opinion. I'm not a fan of installing it. I haven't done enough of them. But I guess the last roofs I've done were the mechanically fastened, just metal roofs. Nice, easy, basic. You get them done quick. They last a long time. For the cost effectiveness, I do like those. Shingles, I think I'm getting too lazy to carry them up the ladder, and I'm too cheap to get rooftop delivery. So gets me on those.
So what do you think is reasonable warranty, and how important is the warranty? If you would be like, let's say your relative calls you, your childhood friends, like, hey man, I hear you in business, I'm buying a roof, what to pay attention to? What advice would you give a friend?
I think it's much more the contractor installing the roof than the warranty on the roof. The warranties, I mean, they're not worth much. There's always a way around it, but if you get a good reputable contractor installing your roof, they'll stand up to it. They'll make it right. They'll take care of you. For example, we had a big client that we have. They're massive in Northeast Ohio. We sold them a bunch of material. Of course, they're using a certain brand shingle. In 2 years, it started blistering, pitting, and it failed. The company would not do anything for it. And the owner's a great guy. He went out there, he replaced that roof on his dime. I don't know why he didn't get into detail of why it failed, but he has good crews. I mean, it was probably something minimal, like the 4 nails, like you said, something. They just found some way to not cover it by warranty.
The contractor is going to do it.
Yeah, the contractor will go back and take care of it.
Because of his name.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless, if you're using like whatever, OC, shingles, if it goes bad, it's the contractor's name. The homeowner's not going to remember OC. They're going to remember Bill's Roofing, who put on the roof 3 years ago, and it's already failed. And they're going to be on Facebook talking about how terrible he is when he had nothing to do with it.
Very interesting point. I've never thought about it that way, but you're 100% right. I feel like it's reversed brand recognition. When we sell the job, we want to use manufacturers because they have a bigger name than us. Who am I and who is OC, right? To sell me. But then at the end of the day, I'm becoming a bigger brand for the homeowner because they're not going to go after $1 billion company, but they will come after me. And they're not going to tell, internet and their friends not to do business with $1 billion company. They will say that don't do business with this local guy. Wow.
Fortunately, that is unfair in America right now. I mean, you get back to a restaurant, somebody goes to a local restaurant, has a bad meal, they post all online. They go to a franchise, their burger's not cooked at McDonald's. They don't say a word. They don't care. And the same thing goes in the roofing industry, too. It goes back on the, nobody's going to complain about one of the major players.
I'm learning so much from my kids today, so much, because kids are so much smarter. They're like, with the technology, I'll like 2 examples. Like my daughter's 16, she works at Lean Chin. And she like actually shares stories of Karens, a lot of Karens, like, oh, Karen. And it's so funny because I never ever call any of my customers Karen, right? Except one. I have one Karen, like directory claim number 10, absolute Karen. The whole family of Karen.
Yes.
So she said, customer comes in and is like, I want that, like, you guys advertise, I see it on the flyer, but it's like 8:30, like 30 minutes before closing. I want that deal. And she's like, we can't because it's, we're closing. We have to cook it. It's advertised. Like she explained, you can't just do like a little batch of rice. You have to do like the whole thing, but you're not going to do it at the end. And she starts going off. She's like, this is false advertising. It's like, right. So she starts yelling at my daughter. My daughter is like, she did not say it, but she's like, do you think I care? I work here. Is like, do you think I care? I'm hourly employee. I don't care about what they advertise. I don't care. Like, why yell at me? Next, right? And I'm like, I'm so like, I want to praise my daughter for being calm, for dealing with people. It's like, yeah, go right away. Like, she just does not give a F, right? And but my other daughter, she's 11, and she needs basketball shoes. So I take her to Nike websites, like, let's do basketball shoes for girls. And she starts scrolling. She scrolls and she's like, why are they showing me this? I'm looking for the shoes. Why there's like, and I'm like, their consumer behavior is so much different. Like, they know how much their attention is worth. And then when you try to interrupt them, put something in front of them what they don't like, they're alert to it. They alert to sales, to when someone tried to take advantage of them. My kids, they're not because of me, trust me, but their number one word when they shop around, oh, it's a scam. Or this is the, like, oh, I got scammed. Or look, they did not give me full cup. What a scam. They're like the best customers. Freaking love it. It's, how do you see consumer behavior changing in our industry? Do you feel like roofers getting smarter and smarter, or we're still old school orthodox, like you used to do something and keep doing it?
I'm kind of going back to your previous question about patience. I think due to the Amazon era, technology, nobody has patience anymore. I admit I don't either. I'll go on Amazon, spend the extra so I get it at 8 p.m. instead of waiting until tomorrow. But it comes down to the roofing too, is people want it. They want their products now. They want to take care of it now. But the roofers, I mean, they're definitely getting smarter, but the roofers are only going to do as much as the customers want. If the customers are online doing research, which some do not, the roofers have to find different ways to accommodate to that and to adapt and grow to that. Yeah, the younger, definitely, my son does the same thing about scams. Everything's a scam, no matter what it is. So apparently that's a nationwide thing.
But do you see the consumer behavior of the homeowner is driving also roofers to do something different?
Yeah, 100% I see that is changing. As where before, even get to the 60s, up the early 90s, a lot of people had name recognition in these big brands like OC. A lot of the males in the U.S., a lot of them knew how to do a lot more home repairs. Go out, do roofs, do stuff like that. There's less and less to do now. With that, less and less of them know these brands. So companies, I mean, you have a roofing company that can market them themselves. You don't need to market a brand of shingles. Nobody cares about what brand of shingles you have. Market yourself. So I see a lot of that going on, and that comes back to kind of the warranty aspect too, is who cares where the warranty comes from as long as it has a warranty. Used cars, they have used car warranties that are not with the manufacturers. All types of products, you're getting it if they deem a warranty as necessary. But I definitely see a lift on that, and that is changing because of consumers' knowledge. I think consumers' knowledge on home repair, even though we have the internet, you have ChatGPT right there, any question you have could get answered in a second. People just don't know the physical home repair and what goes into it and what products are better. So I definitely see that driving.
Let's finish on roofing expos and trends, what's being imported. So we established that asphalt shingles still kind of king, dominates the market. But I do see on every expo tons of underlayments from overseas, tons of metal products from overseas. What's stopping, Europe products to come here, Canada products? There's so many manufacturers. Why no one is truly dominating? Because if it's cheaper, or is it cheaper? Is it distribution? Is it how it's sold? I feel like, in the past 5-6 years, I've seen so many European, Brazilian, Mexican, South Korea, the overseas products coming in, promising, price is good, everything is good, but nothing is truly taken off.
Now, the big thing, you're getting to, for example, the metal aspect. There's a lot of that getting imported. There is no reason for that to get imported. We have how many mills in the U.S. able to do it cheaper? People are just used to it. It's coming from China. It's going to be cheaper. Not always is. Most products, I think the labor is the big thing we got into before coming over. I think I kind of lost where I was at on that one, sir.
Why metal is not trending?
Yes.
Even 5 years ago, I was looking at the reports, and metal is the trendiest category, but you do have a lot of players, but why no one can take over? No markets. We have mill right here. We have a company here in Minnesota, and they're Atco. And they're big. They're producing, and there's room for it. Here's probably price. They're 2 to 3 times your asset, but still, they're not dominating United States.
Yeah, a lot of it is consumer knowledge on it too. The consumers are used to the old asphalt shingles. If they go, they're getting a new shingle roof on it. There's a lot of rumors about certain types of roof too. For example, with the metal, one thing I always hear is, "Oh, it's so loud. How can you sleep when it rains?" The last house I lived in...
Marketing is perception, and you can't change it. You can't change the perception.
It's all smaller factories doing it, and there's not really people doing marketing for it. You'll go to the expos, and you'll see metal roofing companies there, but they're advertising to the roofer. The roofer's not advertising to the end consumer. They're advertising the aesthetics of it. That's a lot of it.
So you think that if manufacturers advertise more to the roofers, to the homeowners, demand would be bigger?
Definitely. There's an American-based company that we work with. They changed their whole model around. They're advertising right now to the end user. They're skipping who they sell to because they said it's a good product. They're going to buy it. Let's advertise to the homeowner. Show them what product. Have them ask for that product.
What's the name?
That's American Flashing.
American Flashing.
Yeah. So they do great on that, and they were changing it all around, and they're selling a ton.
They're also a supplier.
They are. They have a factory up in Michigan as well.
Yeah.
So they do quite a bit.
I like American Flashings.
Yeah, they're a great company, and the way they were explaining they changed it, I heard he's saying it's awesome for
big buff guys. I love them. All bold, all muscle. The father, I think 2 sons runs it.
Yeah, to his family. I don't know him that well, but I talked to the one a decent amount. But just the way talking, and it makes sense. You have to educate the end user about it, and the middle person, they're going to buy it. They don't always care. You educate the consumer about it, and they're going to ask for it. They're going to know what to look for, and that works. Look at all these gutter companies with the gutter shields and all that stuff. These major manufacturers educating the consumers.
I know it's crazy thought, but I want your prediction. What do you think will happen if roofers, maybe to send a message, maybe to set a precedent, if roofers will just go and buy somewhere else? All their access, everything they can buy. Go to Home Depot, go to direct places, right? Say, I'm done with the price increases. I'm done with this, because that's what I see actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
So ABC Supply, keep getting up and up. They're switch. So if roofers overnight, say in 2025, we're going to save money, we're going to send a message that enough is enough, what do you think will happen to supply and manufacturer business?
First off, you have to get enough roofers together to do it. Enough of them have to not be afraid just to take the leap and do it. But they're going to have to change their business model. They're going to have to be more aggressive to know there's another player out there or another group of players up against them. Right now, they're making unbelievable profits on certain products. The one thing I am is remotely not afraid of, but I think they are going to do is when people start doing that, they're going to quit giving discounts on certain products. For example, we'll have a client where you kill them on underlayment, everything else, and their ice and water, for whatever reason, is close. So what the big distributors are doing is selling all their accessories at a big markup, and they're lowering the price on the ice and water. They're going to take that away once the roofer quits buying all their accessories from them. But it's more of a lost leader, their ice water. They do that so the roofer feels good. They aren't losing money. They make it up on the markups everywhere else. I do see a lot of the kind of the roundabout fake discounts they give out going, but the price of products have to be more competitive. Some of the markups, for example, some of the box stores, I know for a fact they're marking up their synthetic underlayments about 150%. You know what they're paying, know what it's getting you see to the stores. It is ridiculous.
400%.
Yeah.
500%.
Oh, yeah. I'm not surprised, especially when you get to some of the thicker products.
Yeah.
It's not that much more money to make a 160 GSM roof and underlayment, which is complete overkill for anything. Just throw that out there too. Yeah. But it's the best you could possibly have. And I know spots selling it for 180, 190 a roll. It should be like $54.
Yep.
And that's, I mean, you know, the best
you have it. We have it the same thing.
Everybody does. It's crazy
100%.
just the price increase. But, you know, our products, if it was at, Home Depot or one of those, it would be close to 200.
Got it. Guys, comment below. Like, I want to finish with this. I want to finish with another survey. Comment below if you're not buying in bulk. Why you're not buying in bulk. Most people I know say, like, it's logistics, we don't want to bring it, right? But comment below, what's your reason? Is it because of the warranty? Is it because of logistics? Is it because you just want your supplier to bring it to them? I want to know the reasons why you're not buying. And for those who may be considering to buy it, I would say 2025 is the year we switch. Just give it a try. Let's recognize that it's better for the industry because we already, money talks, your wallet talks. You vote with your wallet. If you don't like what's happening in the industry, I want you to know that you get to vote today. If you spend $1 with a player who you don't like, you're feeding that behemoth to become bigger. Like that rhino is not going to, that elephant is not going to get smaller. It's going to get bigger and bigger. And what you can do, you can vote just like, in the news, like we switched watching news from CNBC and, CNN and, they went to YouTube and now, CNN is in trouble because nobody's watching them. We watch news on YouTube more than we watch it on CNN, which is huge because, everything is trackable. Those suppliers, those manufacturers, they pay attention to your behavior. And if you change your behavior for 1 year, you'll come back in 2026 in a completely different industry. With more diverse players, with a more fair pricing, because this is what you're never too big to fail, and they have investors and they have people to report to. So when they come to them and say, hey, we have 3 months in a row, we're losing money or we're making less, because they have to keep printing. The reason they keep increasing prices because they have to please the investors and the stock market, and it cannot go, for them it can go up and up and up, but for you it can. So if you want to stop it, you take a dip and they'll go back and readjust their pricing. And then next time, if you send a message, if you call your supplier rep and they say, you know what, I just placed 6 pallets underlayment with someone else, you know what's going to happen? He's going to come back to you with a better offer 6 months later when you're done, because he knows you can do it now. That's what I would do. Do you agree?
Oh, definitely. You have to try something new. Americans are stubborn. We hate change. That's why we look at our measuring system. We don't change stuff.
We don't.
So yeah, you have to just jump out there, save money. And what's the downside too? We get a lot of people same way as you. Logistics, time, anything else.
Oh, it's a hard business. It's a very hard business. You have to figure out tariffs, logistics, lots of paperwork, it's everything under the sun. So it's by no means. But you know what? I'll share this at the end. I've seen this country for the past 20 years as an immigrant. I rarely share it, but here's what I have to say about change in the United States. When I left Russia in 2005, all of my friends were mocking me. Oh, you're going to get fat. You're going to be in the McDonald's diet, fries, burgers. You're going to be, because that's how the world see United States. Obesity crisis, right? And here's what I've seen in the United States in the past 20 years. I've seen brands like CrossFit through the roof. I've seen salads and soups are served everywhere now. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could not get a salad at a fast food restaurant. Today, there's a Chipotle, there's like any restaurant you go to, they have soups, salads, they have fruits. The menu changed. Why? Because there's a demand. 15 years ago, you could not get freaking hot tea in most places. Today, market adapts to behavior. If there's a demand, there's going to be supply. And America has changed. And now I would argue, actually, fun fact, when I look at Russia now, we have obesity crisis. And actually, if you study like, Eastern world, like what's happening to Europe, what's happening in Asia, now they have obesity crisis. And now brands like CrossFit and fitness brands from here go there. Right now we're a healthy one. And because we were first at something bad, but now we're like, America is always first. The trend starts here, and then it go in. It will follow. So, but to the point, if you don't like what you're getting, stop putting into it.
Exactly.
If you don't like what you're getting from ABC Supply, go to Beacon, go to SRS, go to Van Boxel. Like, just try something different. Send the message that you are not a sucker and you're not going to keep playing the game. And they will. I see biggest brands now. It's like, fuck it, F this shit. I'm not buying. I'm getting a container, and they're gonna come back.
They do, and like you mentioned before, your supplier's gonna come back with a better offer once you start doing that. They don't want to lose you. They'll lose a portion of the business. They don't want to lose the whole business. So,
love it. Comment below what you guys think. I'll put Kyle and his best offers in description and the top comment. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and I'll see you in the next video.